Our guest for this episode is Chumway Funkenhauser The Third from somewhere in the Dunlop System. Other than that, he'd rather not say.
He's on a quest to find something that sort of melts its brain.
So roll up your towel into a pillow, lean back, and
prepare to learn how Jovi Juice can make even the worst music enjoyable, and the potential street value of the tea.
Shut up and sit down.
Welcome back to the Hitchhikers and Appetizers podcast. I am, of course, your humble half-host, Horatio Zinn, here in booth 42. With me, as always, my compatriot, my co-host, my completeness, but don't take that literally,
Trellis Gardeen.
That's who I was talking about. Yes, good.
And I don't think anyone would ever refer to you as half, Horatio. You're quite full. Full of yourself and full of appetizers.
I am 2/3 of our trio of two people.
Making me feel thin.
It depends. Have you had more work done?
I have scheduled some more work.
Good.
From my home planet.
Good.
Glandar, Plastic Surgery Center of the Universe.
Yes.
Many offices, no waiting. But I have not yet gone and had any of it done. That was just a quick trip to the bathroom.
I'm working on changing my metabolism by pure willpower.
That's impressive.
I read a book. But we'll worry about that later.
We have a guest.
We have a guest, and they're sitting there, and they're thinking, are you going to talk to me, or are you just going to keep rambling like you have been? And I'm going to say, we're going to talk to you. Hello, guest.
Hello?
Oh, good start.
Sometimes I think I'm talking, and I'm not. So if I seem like I'm talking, but you don't hear me, it's because I'm not.
Fascinating. I like to have boundaries like that.
But as long as you can hear me, then that means I'm probably talking.
Good to know.
So if we can hear you, you're talking, but if we can't hear you, you're not talking.
Yes, and I don't know the difference.
Ah!
So I'll need you to help me.
All right, fair enough. I will tell you.
I've lost the ability to hear my own voice.
Oh.
And so that's why it's difficult.
Oh, I do have an inner voice you can hear, or just an outer voice that...
I can hear your voice, so if I need to know what I'm saying, I might ask you to repeat what you just heard.
Oh, and I will try to pay attention.
Excellent.
So that I can repeat that. I can't promise anything.
And if I feel like making you do something you may not want to do, I could tell you something then, and you would never know.
I can hear you.
Right.
But if you made me say it back to you, I wouldn't even know.
Ah.
So you might think we could have you say, oh, I'm giving you 50 credits. And you would say, oh, I didn't know I said that. And said, well, you did, so give them over.
Oh, dear.
Has that ever happened?
Because it could well happen.
Or would you even know?
Now I'm starting to wonder if some of that money I've paid out was really not necessarily a debt.
You should probably ask.
Yes. Well, I don't know if I'll ever meet any of those.
Was one of them named the Scofflaw by chance?
Ooh, the Scofflaw.
I'm trying to think.
He is looking into some property for me that I gave him money, and I have not seen anything in regards to actual property yet.
Well, it's a big universe, and there's a lot of different things out there.
Yes. Oh, I've got to write that down.
Yes.
It's a big universe.
Speaking of things, we are being remiss. What is your name?
Oh, yes.
My name is Chumway Funkenhauser. Are you going to be using my name?
I will try to. I'm endeavoring to call things by their names.
Could you refer to me as Chumway Funkenhauser The Third so that no one knows exactly who I am? I'm trying to disguise my name.
What a very clever alias.
Once you start tacking numbers on the name end of your name, it's just, who is this guy?
Yes.
Yes, that's how I'd like to leave things.
I would, at some point, maybe add a junior to that, just to make it more confusing.
Oh, whoa.
Chumway Funkenhauser the Third, Jr.
Or perhaps Funkenhauser Chumway.
Who are you talking about?
Exactly.
Ooh. No, I don't know who that is. That's not familiar at all to me.
Neither do I. Is it me?
That has no relation to this being sitting here with us.
I just would really prefer to remain anonymous.
We can do that.
Excellent.
Now, is there a reason you want to remain anonymous?
Trellis, let's clarify. There's a difference between anonymous and anonymous.
Well, yes.
That's what you said. You probably may not have heard yourself say it, but I did.
Well, now that you've repeated it back to me, I can be assured that I said it. And anonymous is to be unknown even to yourself, which is easier for me perhaps than others since I cannot hear my own words when I speak them. So I also do desire anonymity because I don't want others to know me either.
You're an introvert.
At times I'm an introvert. I'm an experimenter. I'm a scientist. But at times my experiments run afoul.
Oh, afoul of nature, or
I've been on a quest, if you will, to search the universe for something that would, and please don't take this literally,
All right.
melt my brain.
Oh, good. Do you want to symbolically melt your brain?
Indeed.
Or would you melt your brain in effigy? Like you have a brain, made a model of your brain, and you just would melt it with a flame beneath?
That would have certainly have an effect, but I'm looking for the effect within my brain that makes it feel like melting without actually melting it, which is a very important distinction because if you were to actually melt your brain,
Yes.
very difficult to come back from. Very difficult.
agreed.
It's not impossible.
You couldn't just stick it into a freezer unit.
No.
I'm not sure my brain is meltable because the amount of pan-galactic gargle blasters I've had, you would think it would melt my brain.
Do you have any of those here?
We always have some, yes.
Well, then I'd like some of those.
Oh, yes, we can order some for you.
That was one of the conditions, right? Do I get to...
Oh, you can eat and drink as much as you want.
It's all paid for.
Let's have 3 pan-galactic garble blasters then.
Is that for all of us, or you do 3 apiece?
Are those just for you?
Because a half of one might just totally derail this podcast and knock us into the floor.
I'm not sure how many I ordered, but I'd like 3.
All right, but we can work with that. We can work with that.
They're on the way. I just flagged the waiter with the 3 symbol and now you said you're anonymous. Are you an introvert then as well?
If I were, I feel like we wouldn't be talking.
Ah, he makes a good point.
One of the things I've discovered on my journeys through the universe is that there are substances that can take an introvert and make them an extrovert.
Ooh.
Likewise, there are concoctions in this world or in this universe that can take an extrovert and turn them. Which one did I say? Because it's the opposite.
He will turn them into the other one.
Yes, right. One can go to the other. There are also substances that can take an introvert and keep them as an introvert. In fact, most substances will have no effect on your vertness, I've found.
Vert. It's all about the vert.
Yes, but there is nothing that can create a good advert.
No.
If we were just... I've yet to see a substance that can cause anyone to create a good advert.
That's why it's so important to hire the right firm to do your verting.
Absolutely.
Adverts can often be very pushy.
It seems that there's very little thought put into those.
They often offer things I don't need. They tell me uses of things that really do not exist.
And the substances that I desire are rarely advertised.
Oh, this sounds intriguing.
Perhaps on the street corner, someone's offering it to you?
It depends on what part of the universe you're in. Of course, for example, the Dunlop System.
Yes.
All drugs are illegal. And that is, of course, where you can find the best drugs in the universe.
Irony.
Because adversity and restriction is the mother of invention.
I've found the harder the restrictions, the greater the substances available.
Yes.
So I tend to go to the Dunlop System. If you're looking for something new that you haven't had, the Dunlop System will usually have it for you.
I am writing this down.
Dunlop System.
Now, You do not want to be caught there, however,
No.
because what they'll do is they will inject you into whatever drug it is that you've been found in possession of. And I don't know if you've ever been injected into something. It is not pleasant.
They're injecting you into a drug, not injecting the drug into you.
No, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, I was thinking that would be strange.
What kind of effect do you think I would have?
Ooh.
What kind of drug do I look like?
Ooh.
If you were to snort me up your 5 noses, which nostril would be the best one for me to go up?
5 noses.
I've never been a fan of snorting, except when there's no other option.
That's the only time to do it, really.
Indeed, if you can eat something, eat it, and don't snort it.
Yeah.
But if you can't eat it, then absolutely snort it, unless you also can't snort it, in which case, no.
I like to be a challenge and a little bit of a grain of sand in the gears, so I think I would prefer to be snorted.
Yes. Now, if you've ever found a dried up dwarf star,
Dwarf star.
now if you can find one, grind it up and snort that. That's the best thing I've found to snort.
Oh,
If I were to snort you there,
me?
No, me.
No, you should snort Trellis, because if you snort me, it's just going to clog up your nostrils.
And your arteries.
you seem a bit thicker.
I am. I'm very, very dense.
I would not snort you.
No.
I'm having a hard time either of you, because I'll tell you what, I've tried.
I'm hurt.
No,
I'm a little hurt.
I would be hurt. I'll explain why.
I'm relieved.
If I were to snort you, and you're out there, have you ever heard of being eaten?
Yes, I've heard of it. I read about it one plan somewhere.
All right. Well, so you imagine you've got right there. You've got a plate of what are those cheese triangles? What are those in front of you? If you were to eat one of those, pretend you're a cheese triangle.
Oh, okay. I was going to actually eat one.
Do it.
And say I was pretending to eat one. But I'll just
Do it. Eat it.
Oh no, I'm a cheese. I'm
Eat
a
it.
cheese
Eat it.
triangle.
Eat it.
Eat it.
Eat it. Come on.
Eat it.
Eat it.
I'm eating it.
You see how he's eating that cheese triangle? What if that was you?
Take a look at my mouth as I masticate.
You see that, Trellis? That's you.
Yeah.
If I snort you up there, you are the cheese triangle in his mouth. So that's why I wouldn't do it to you. You seem nice.
Sometimes you just need a good visual representation of something for it to hit home.
What do you think my street value would be, though? Snorting or not? What do you? I think I would go for a lot. I think I'd be pretty valuable. I'm the kind of drug that if you took me once, you'd end up ruining your life and selling all your possessions to then get your hands on.
Oh yes, I think that goes without saying.
That is the sign of a good drug.
Maybe that's a little arrogant. Maybe I'm being a little bit arrogant, but I think my street value is off the charts.
I think you're just being self-aware there, Trellis.
And I think my street name would be Trelly. The kids are all on the Trelly.
I'm hooked on the tea.
The T. Even better.
I've found that the more a drug will destroy your life in less uses, the better it is.
That's how you know the quality's
That's
there.
potency.
If you OD the first time,
Yes.
pure.
For example,
Yes.
one of the most difficult substances to acquire is purity.
Yes.
Now, I've only had purity once, and I don't know, are you guys familiar with purity? They don't have it here, I asked.
It is no, it's not on the menu.
I've read about it. I watched the documentary.
It's not, it's...
Purity was the name of a lady I had spent time with on Eroticon 6. But that's not the same thing, I don't think.
A lot of ironic names on that planet, by the way.
Yes, I was in a band called Purity.
Really?
What? When were you in a band? What do you play?
I played the harmonophone.
Oh, that you don't have nearly enough appendages to be playing that.
No, well, I wasn't the only one playing it.
Oh, okay.
He said he was in a band.
It's a band.
Well, I didn't realize the whole band played one instrument.
Well, no, not the whole band. That would be ridiculous. There was one other person who sang.
Oh, yes.
The front man. Or front being. I'd hate to...
I'm sorry, but we distracted. I was about to say we diffracted, but that's the wrong word.
Oh, that's all right. I'm enjoying these gargle blasters.
That's very good. Good. They're meant to be enjoyed.
That's two down, and you already... Do I need to order you some more?
No. 3 is my limit. I've got to get out of here at some point.
Oh, no, you don't. I mean, we've proven you don't have to get out of here.
I don't?
We are living proof that you can spend as much time here as you want.
You've been here for longer than one. I usually come. What I'd like to do is, for example, I like to come here to try out some of the new substances. Because if you're gonna see the end of the universe, you might as well do it while you're Belgiumed to your gills.
Oh yeah.
Oh, we may have to edit that out.
Oh, I apologize. I didn't know this was a family recording.
Honestly, I think that was the appropriate time to be using that term.
It's not that this is a family program, it's just that we cannot ban families from listening to it.
It's a shame.
As much as I'd like to.
We tried.
I've never been a fan of families,
No.
least of which my own.
Oh, we could do a whole episode on that.
Do you have children, or are you married?
I don't know.
Maybe.
These aren't the kind of questions I ask myself.
I like your attitude toward parenthood.
No, because you're an experimenter. You're out looking for.
I'm working the system to find out what it will do to me. And what I like to do is I like to come here to the restaurant at the end of the universe and watch the universe end. And that's a real good gauge of the effectiveness of the substance you're taking.
Yes.
For example, have you been to the Alachi system?
The Alachi system. I believe I've been there.
The music there is horrible. However, there is a substance called Jovi juice.
Jovi juice. Oh, yes.
That rings familiar to me.
Well, you know you've had enough of it when you enjoy the music from that system. That's the time. If you've drunk it and you still don't enjoy the music, have another sip.
Possibly another gallon of it, depending on the band.
It depends on how big your gullet is, of course.
We did play in the Alachi system. A battle of the bands there.
You must be very, very bad if you played there.
We were terrible. We won.
Horatio, maybe had you had Jovi juice available at your last show, that executive would have signed you.
The thing is, we had consumed quite a bit of it, so we thought we sounded wonderful.
You shouldn't consume it if you're making the music.
No. Oh my God, what were you thinking?
Well, that was our mistake, and that's when the band broke up. We felt that we had reached our pinnacle at that point.
Well, if you want to break something up, that's the right move then.
Yes, and breaking up the band was the best thing that ever happened to it and its music.
Often, it's very difficult to break up a band, and drugs always help.
Very true.
Oh, yes.
True. Oh, yes.
Really, the drugs were the best part of the band.
There's, some drugs. I think there's one called Oh No. Because you say, oh no, we're breaking up.
Yes.
And then the band is just over with.
And it makes you scream.
Oh, no.
But rhythmically.
Exactly.
Oh, I haven't had that. I'd like to find that.
Write that down.
Even horrible drugs are worth trying once, just to go, oh my God, that was the most...
Well, how do you know it's horrible if you haven't died from it?
Right, because you can't trust someone else when they tell you, oh, this is bad. You go, no, I'd better put this in my system just to make sure.
Anyone alive who tells you a drug they took is bad is a liar.
Yes.
Because they're clearly alive.
Any drug that doesn't kill you keeps you alive.
Obviously. Now, if they're dead, you might want to listen to their advice a bit, because they seem to have passed through that before.
Because that clearly falls into the silence speaks volumes.
Yes.
Very true. I try not to think of the dead. It's sad sometimes.
It depends on the dead person you're thinking about. If it's someone you didn't like, then it can be a real joy.
Oh.
And also think about one's own death. Actually, I try not to think. I pay someone to think about my own death.
You've taken me on quite a journey there. I'm starting to enjoy the thought of my enemies dying, but then...
Very good. That's the start. That's really the start. That's the gateway drug.
Have you made enemies through your experimentations around the galaxy?
Well, one of the nice things about my experimentations is I don't really know. It's very possible, but as I said, if you've taken the right things, then you won't remember the things that would make you sad. Now, of course, a side effect of that is not remembering anything, but
yes,
if you've got mostly sad thoughts, why not get rid of everything just because of the law of averages?
Wipe the slate clean.
Those sad thoughts could infect the happy thoughts.
Exactly.
You're doing the happy thoughts a courtesy. You're protecting them by killing them.
Exactly. Because if you're going to have sad thoughts, why not just eliminate all the thoughts, and then that way you don't have to worry about it?
Yes.
There's no jealousy among the thoughts. It's just pretty much cutting a large swath throughout the whole thing.
And judging thoughts just takes a lot of time and energy. Evaluating them, because there's some that may be like, well, this is good and bad. This is a mix of things. Oh my God, 3 hours have passed.
Exactly. Which is why, whenever possible, I eliminate thought. That's it.
Now, have you eliminated any thoughts in the time that we've been speaking here?
Well, the gargle blasters certainly aren't hurting. But because I came in here, as I mentioned, I had acquired a glass of purity.
Yes, back to the purity.
And so that's what I was testing this time. The gargle blasters aren't going to have any effect on, it's kind of like whatever your prevalent drug is going to override anything else you have. You understand? Like,
Of course, yes. It's in all the books.
indeed, 2 beers won't do anything if you've had a tab of good acid.
That's right.
There are some beings who have acid for blood. Are they high all the time?
It depends on the kind of acid.
Okay.
Absolutely. To be true, because there are some beings whose blood isn't pure acid. So if you get some of it on you, it might eat away at your skin. Now, that's not a drug. Let me distinguish between something that makes you feel in your brain and head something versus something that makes you feel a physical pain. Those are usually not drugs. Those are poisons or acids.
Ointment's gone wrong.
Have you read that book?
Yes, ointment's gone wrong. Yes, I should have a copy here in my duffel bag.
I like it.
It's in its 73rd edition. I mean, they just keep adding things to it and to it.
Because they keep finding ointments that go wrong.
I just don't need the pictures. I could take it without the pictures, to be quite honest with you.
That's all I actually look at. I don't really read it.
Yes, sir, he is not, Trellis is not a man of words unless...
I like a lot of pictures in my books.
You know, there's not a lot of books with go right. There's no ointments go right book. It's all go wrong.
Well, if it works, you don't really need to warn anybody. Why would you warn somebody that this worked?
But you'd think the ointment industry would want those books out there. Everyone's seeing ointments.
That's when it comes down to hiring the right marketing firm to make sure your adverts are correct.
The thing is that they forget is that ointments will not get better over time. They degrade, and much like dairy products, generally they're not going to get better over time. They're going to go bad. So there's nowhere for an ointment to go but downhill.
I guess it makes it difficult to advertise for ointments when you've got so much going against you.
That's we could do a whole other program about the rehabilitation of the ointment industry.
The marketing firms may just avoid it. When the ointment people come to the door, they just turn off the lights and hide under their desks and pretend they're not even there.
Quite honestly, I've always enjoyed a salve over an ointment.
I have as well. And also because they're the flavored kind too, because then if you accidentally get some in your mouth.
That's exactly right.
What's your stance on balms?
A balm to me is in between. Now, a salve, as you mentioned there, a salve can be ingested, even accidentally, and it's all right.
Yes.
A balm, it depends. If it's a natural balm, sometimes you can eat it. If it's an unnatural balm, well, then you've got the ointment problems now. So, I say salve, balm, ointment, in that order.
Now, have you ever encountered a balm that is not physical? It's more of
an emotional balm?
Yes, an emotional balm. Now, I'm not so sure they exist. I think it was a scam. Because there was nothing I could hold in my hands or rub on my skin.
An emotional balm. Could a hug be considered an emotional balm?
It could, but you would have to leave it on there for a long time for it to have any effect and sink in.
Is this like a mime balm? Like as if you're climbing a ladder, but not really the ladder is there, so you just apply a fake balm? Because anything that has to do with mimes, quite frankly, should be destroyed.
Oh, we agree. We've talked about that.
Well, there are some universal truths out there.
They had a mime here at the restaurant at one point, and
man,
it was going around from table to table. And when he got to our table,
to me, that's the end of the universe right there. Having a mime at your table.
I lost it. I just lost it. And while he was fake punching, I was real punching,
yes, he was.
It was not a fair fight by any stretch of the imagination.
Now, normally mimes are just like black and white. No, there was a lot of red on this one, red all over.
Oh dear.
I felt it was my most triumphant moment because eventually he started screaming. Stop.
Yes, it was quite lovely. It was hilarious.
That is a notch in the belt. If you can make a mime make noise, you've accomplished something. Especially if that noise is in pain.
Yes, in pain. I witnessed a mime giving testimony at a trial, and unfortunately they only had one translator there. It was very bad. And apparently all the mime witnessed was someone walking against the wind the entire time. That's all it was.
Well, in some galaxies, that is a crime.
That's true. It should be.
I tucked that mime up into his invisible box and sent him on his way. Getting back to your experiments.
Go on.
This just popped into my head.
Yes.
Because you mentioned family, and I think you said you had a family?
I think I do. I'm not quite sure.
I am so sorry.
Since it sounded like it was sort of a bad experience, would you call that maybe your biggest failed experiment?
Well, the concept of family, I can't quite personally claim to take hold of that, but I do think it's a failed concept, certainly. Now, my contribution to the failure of family was so late into the concept, I think I'm just an example of the failure.
Oh, that's good. I'm a very good example of the failure of family.
I think we all are, really.
We should be.
I've rarely seen a good example of family.
I will go so far as to say I've seen good examples and I've completely ignored them.
Is that your blind? Maybe it's a blind spot for you, Horatio, seeing a happy family?
No, that's just my way to keep from having to disagree with myself about my stand on families. I will ignore any evidence to the contrary.
Yes, if you see a happy family, you're not looking closely enough.
Oh,
Yes.
You need to scratch the surface a little bit more.
You need to dent the surface.
You may have to add an element.
Keep battering against it like waves on the rocks, and eventually you'll be able to erode that family.
Like a body of water is just perfect. You throw a stone in there
And the ripples.
and the ripples. So throw a stone at a happy family and see what happens.
Even a flat surface hides a turbulent underneath. I think I read that somewhere.
I'm going to write that down. Say that again. I want to write that down.
That's like a spaceberg. You know, spaceships often run into spacebergs, and they think they're small because you only see the tip of the spaceberg, and underneath it is just horrible.
Which is strange because there's nothing covering up the bottom half, so why they don't see it?
You'd think they would see it, but no, the spaceberg's just there, and they just see that little bit, and then bam.
Spacefaring blind spot. It could be the way the light hits it.
I thought you were talking about the family, the space bergs.
The Spacebergs, yes, the Spacebergs.
What did they make them running in again? I think it was in the illegal drug trade.
Well, it depends.
And then they rehabilitated the image later on.
Yes.
I mean, they started in the Dunlop system, but they've expanded out to some systems where it's a little more liberal, all right? If you want to call it illegal, that's fine, but it all is a matter of where it is you take the drug.
I like to think of it as officially permissible, as opposed to legal or illegal. Those terms. Officially permissible, unofficially permissible.
That's true. As long as it's permissible, the prefix doesn't matter.
No. Unless you're trying to be specific.
Yes, but if I hear the word permissible, even if unacceptably is before it, I'm going to hang on to that second word as much as I can.
Oh, me too. I like you. It's all about ignoring the things you don't want to
Exactly.
hear.
If you
really.
put quotes in your mind around any word, you can isolate it from the words that surround it and only listen to that word.
It makes living so much easier. It really does.
I would guess it makes dying easier too.
Oh, yes. Well, yes. I suppose so. Ooh.
Now, having not done it myself, I wouldn't quite know for sure, but we'll see sometime.
That's right. We are speaking in hypotheticals at this
Right.
point, unless for all of us who are alive.
Which I think that's
True.
all of us at this table.
All of us, except for I'm not sure about the folks over at that other table.
Oh, they're telepaths. They're just all they're
Oh!
communicating, mind to mind. That's
Don't mind them while they mind you.
I think I'm not sure, but I think they're talking about us.
probably.
Almost certainly.
Let them here. Well, you know what? Let me offend them with my brain with what I'm thinking. Did you see them?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. They absolutely heard what I thought about.
Yes. I believe they just flipped you off with their minds.
Well, good for them.
And you can feel that. I saw you flinch.
And you know what? Right now I'm picturing beating the hell out of that mime What are they doing?
Oh, look, they're paying the check and leaving.
There you are.
That's what I thought. That's right.
They're scurrying out the door, looking worried.
Nothing puts off a telepath like a thought of a mime.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. Very good. The thought of a mime. I would love to continue with this, but we are out of time.
Well, I'm out of gargle blasters.
Oh, perfect.
Well, I'm starting the drugs. Oh no, we were just a little bit away from end of our podcast when the drugs began to take.
Oh yes. Well, that's for you. The drugs took over a long time ago with me, but I hope you enjoy your journey. I'm having a fine time with mine.
Yeah.
I hope I do too. You seem to be.
Every journey begins with one snort.
I was thinking. Here are some things I've written. You notice I've written on my napkin. I take notes in condiments on my napkin.
Oh, I thought that's how your species wipes its mouth.
No, well,
both.
Sometimes that happens.
Both.
I have wiped my face with my notes.
Does it smudge the notes?
Yes, and my face.
Oh, that's even worse. A smudged face.
The nice thing is, though, I still have some condiments and things in my beard for later.
Nice to save for later.
Yes. It's a big universe, and there are a lot of things out there. I thought that was a good quote. There was one that I really liked, but I didn't write it down.
Oh, that's a very good quote. That was probably the best one.
Would you prefer us to put in the Dunlop System, or do you want us to give you an anonymous name and we'll go with Funkenhauser Chumway?
We never found out what your planet is.
Well, that's where I'm from, but I don't want to reveal the exact planet within there because that might...
Okay, so let's go with the Dunlop System. Acceptably permissible.
Ooh, I like that.
What about that?
That sounds fine to me, as long as it's permissible.
Exactly.
And you can, in some way, you can listen back to this episode and find out exactly what you did say and what we told you to say.
This is true.
I didn't
yes.
even consider that.
And then you'll be certain.
Get good and
I
high
should
for that.
record all of my thoughts that I speak as a podcast, listen back to it, and know what I've said.
Yes, I often have done that. I don't know what I've said. I listen back and I say, oh, I don't remember a bit of that.
Well, now I feel like we've performed two services today, Horatio. Informative to the galaxy's hitchhikers, and we've helped Chumway figure out how to really know what he's saying.
It's important. Unless you don't want to know.
Good. We actually accomplished something?
Thank you for joining us for Hitchhikers and Appetizers. And of course, special thanks goes to our guest, Chumway Funkenhauser The Third. I have been Trellis Gardeen.
And I continue to be Horatio Zinn. Until next time, keep your towels clean. And if you find a potentially dangerous alien creature trapped in the ice near your research base, you can always just not thaw it out. So don't panic. Everything you heard in this episode was improvised, but not everything improvised was heard. This episode of Hitchhikers and Appetizers featured the voice talents of Mike Gorgone as Trellis Gardeen, Bran Peacock as Horatio Zinn, and Joe Canale as Chumway Funkenhauser The Third. Finally, Hitchhikers and Appetizers is part of the Improv in Action Network. Check out other great improvised podcasts and projects at improvinaction.com. If you'd like to reach out to Trellis or Horatio, you can send electronic messages to them at our Galaxy address, hitchappspodcast@gmail.com. Or you can find them on Twitter with the handle hitchapps.
Shut up and sit down.